Hello, everyone. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. And this full moon has been quite a trigger for many, but think of it as sacred purging, right? So, with that, again, guys, before we begin today's discourse, I want to thank Selena for her beautiful and deeply thoughtful comment under my last video. She asked something that so many divine feminines have felt but rarely articulate so clearly. So question was, how do we manage the strong sacral energy we experience from our beloved divine masculine, and what are we supposed to do with it? Respond or not? And what about the possibility of other partners while the field is stabilizing? That question holds the essence of this entire path, because every monadic divine feminine at some point, at least through thought, encounters this exact crossroad. And it's like, as monadic divine feminines, after we meet our divine masculine in the 3D, in the physical, it's almost impossible to be with anyone else. It's like we can't even think about the idea of being with someone else, right? So that's why that question holds the essence of this entire path. How do we honor the sacred fire through our body without losing neutrality? And how do we stay open to love without abandoning our devotion? So today, this discourse is dedicated to all of you who has felt the ache, the search, and the confusion of that sacred current and wondered, what do I do with all these energies? So today's teaching is one that many of you have written in about, that unmistakable surge of energy that moves through your body when your divine masculine's field touches yours. So you might feel it as warmth in your womb, pulsing through your lower belly, or even waves of electricity that seem to have no physical cause. Sometimes it happens during meditation or yoga or gardening or hiking or scuba diving. Other times it arrives out of nowhere while you're walking, working, or simply thinking of your divine counterpart. So let's go deep into what this actually is, how to manage it without collapsing into longing, and what it means for intimacy, sovereignty, and sacred neutrality, especially if other partners appear during separation. So when you are in a monadic twin flame journey, the sacral energy is not sexual attraction. Again, sorry, I shouldn't have used the S word. It's not S attraction in the ordinary sense. It's actually a field transmission, the merging of two creative currents that mirror divine life force itself. So our divine masculine's current enters through the root and sacral chakras, carrying codes of direction, structure, and propulsion. As the divine feminine, our current rises through our heart, womb, translating those codes into creation. So when our divine masculine's field pulses into ours, it's his life force calling home. The energy asks, can you hold me without losing yourself? If you can, you begin to stabilize the union frequency within your own body. So the first instinct is often to respond, right? To reach for him, to text him, or replay memories. But the teaching here is, don't act, integrate. Because the energy is not meant to be expelled, it's meant to be alchemized, right? So, and there's a key difference between that. Sorry about that, guys. I needed to put a pillow for back support. So, as I was saying, you know, the energy is not meant to be expelled, it's meant to be alchemized. So, breathe it upward through your spine, let it feed your creative projects, your art, your missions. In that moment, the womb becomes a temple of transmutation. So, every time you hold the charge without collapsing into desire, the field learns that love can be felt without needing possession. And this is how you move from karmic attraction to divine embodiment. So, what happens in our divine masculine's body? So, when we are learning to stabilize, our beloved divine masculine is often feeling the opposite. His sacral energy spikes because his soul recognizes safety in us, yet his human ego panics, fearing loss of control. So, what happens? What do I mean by that? So, this is when our divine masculine may distance, numb, or channel that energy into work or distractions. But energetically, he can still feel us. That's the thing. Every time we ground our own energy, instead of reaching out, his nervous system registers that peace. It shows that connection does not have to equate to chaos. Over time, this is how our divine masculine learns to feel safe in intimacy again. So, this is where I'm going to talk about sacred celibacy and the temptation of other partners. Again, I don't know if temptation is the right word, because often after we meet our monadic divine masculine, it's like naturally celibacy becomes, it's like, so during separation, many divine feminines would ask, what if someone else, so it's often only in the question, what if someone else appears? I get this a lot with my clients all the time. Should I explore that or wait? So there's no dogma here, only frequency truth. If another partner arises, ask yourself, is this expansion or escape? That is the only question. Is this expansion or escape? If it feels like a relief from loneliness, that's the ego seeking distraction. If it feels like a genuine resonance where your soul can express itself freely, then it may serve as a karmic bridge. A soul who helps you embody the lessons your divine masculine could not yet mirror. So yet remember, no new lover can replace the field, because the monadic current is unique. It does not compete. It either harmonizes through your embodiment or waits in dormancy until coherence is restored. So desire is holy when it becomes prayer, right? So each time that wave of longing rises, instead of thinking I miss him, say, I'm feeling the pulse of creation moving through me. Close your eyes. Imagine your energy spiraling up your spine, through your heart, out of your crown. See it offering light to the grid, blessing the union field, not demanding its return. This is how you evolve from reactive longing to embodied devotion. So, from a psychological perspective, this is when everything shifts, right? So that's when we carry our focus towards the physiological view. The sacral chakra corresponds to the reproductive organs and adrenal glands. So when our twin flame bond activates, oxytocin and dopamine patterns linked to attachment can surge without physical contact. It is why your body may respond as though you've just made love, even when he's like continents away, because the nervous system does not differentiate between psychic and physical intimacy. So you must give the energy a channel of movement, dance, stretch, create, sing, paint, because movement teaches the body that safety and pleasure can coexist without needing our divine masculine's physical presence. All right. So for every divine feminine, for every one of us divine feminines out there, we carry both currents, right? The inner masculine structure and inner feminine flow. So when we integrate our divine masculine's energy consciously, we awaken our own inner masculine. Because our divine masculine becomes less of an external figure and more of a frequency within us. So this is the shift from yearning to sovereignty. We start to realize the energy he triggers was always ours. He merely unlocked it. So from this point forward, our creative, sexual and spiritual energy belongs to our mission, our art, our divine service, not our memory of him. So let me talk about the myths of waiting, right? So waiting keeps our field stagnant. Integration keeps it alive. So when we withhold our energy from life because our divine masculine is not there, we block the very current that will magnetize reunion. But when we live, create and serve and expand, the field shifts, right? The frequency finds us both again in alignment. The universe remains, the universe foresees and reunites coherent beings, not needy ones. So that's why let every surge of sacral fire remind you that you are life itself. Because waiting in itself can be very disempowering sometimes, But again, if you're waiting through the mind versus waiting through your soul, it's two different things. When you're waiting through your mind, there's an expectation. My divine masculine is going to come back. But when you're waiting from your soul, you already know there's no separation. So that's why waiting in itself becomes super tricky. Because if you are conceptualizing waiting and thinking that that is an act of devotion, it actually isn't. It's quite the contrary. But when you're waiting from soul, it's not even waiting, it's being. So as we master neutrality, you will start to notice a strange pattern. The divine masculine's mirror response, sudden dreams, synchronicities, or even him reaching out. This is not coincidence, it's resonance. So when our womb becomes calm, his root feels safe to open, and when our energy stops chasing, our divine masculine's part of the soul starts searching. This is the sacred paradox. Our divine masculine awakens when we stop trying to wake him. And this is the divine choreography of polarity, collapse, and reunion. So, when both twin flames learn to hold their own sacral currents without projection, the physical reunion becomes inevitable because it's no longer about relief but resonance. You stop trying to merge to fill a void, you merge because the frequency itself has matured. That is true union, when the polarity becomes creation, not codependency. So that's why once you begin feeling your divine masculine's energy consistently, it's not just a sensation, it's a conversation. Every pulse through your sacral center is a vibrational sentence, a fragment of his higher self speaking to you. But the question is, are you responding? Are you reacting, or are you listening? So many divine feminines make the mistake of assuming that this intensity means he's thinking of me in the S way right now, sexually right now, right? Sometimes yes, but more often it is the body attempting to synchronize frequency. His sacral current is touching yours not to stimulate you, but to stabilize the field. Your body is the tuning fork of the connection. When you respond with longing, the current wobbles. When you respond with neutrality, the current strengthens. This is why, as the divine feminines, we must learn to differentiate between desire and transmission. And remember, guys, desire is not always lust, it's compression. when you and your divine masculine, you know, because as twin flames, when we share that one monadic source through the cosmic ache, and when we remain physically apart, our life force still seeks unity. That pressure is felt in the sacral because it's the gateway between cosmic consciousness and form. So you're feeling the compression of the soul trying to move So in other words, what is actually happening is you are feeling the compression of the soul trying to move into embodiment, and that is such a crucial part in the journey. That's why I took a pause, because I want it to really sink in. Remember, this is not punishment. It's creation trying to birth itself through you. But it can feel erotic, emotional, chaotic all at once. So instead of repressing it or rushing to send it back, breathe it upward. Learn the energy. Learn that the energy often travels up the spine, because you're allowing it to. Let the energy travel up your spine, through your heart, to your crown, and whisper, I offer this desire back to cosmic consciousness. Let it become light, not longing. So you have now transformed separation pain into ascension current. So the mirror of projection, when the energy feels too strong, sometimes when the connection becomes overwhelming, when you actually start feeling his unprocessed energy, our divine masculine often projects his own sexual confusion, guilt, or longing into the feminine's body unconsciously, because her feel is receptive and fluid. You might suddenly feel aroused, distracted, or emotionally volatile without clear reason. When this happens, pause. Place a hand on your lower belly and say softly, I honor the energy that seeks union, but I return all the projections that are not mine. The single act of spiritual hygiene keeps your womb space sovereign and teaches him on a soul level that he cannot heal through unconscious merging. This is energetic ethics. You can love your divine masculine fiercely while still saying, my body is my temple. So, the karmic rehearsal, other partners as mirror. So, let's now talk about the most uncomfortable layer, the question Selena raised about other partners during separation. So, again, category 1 and category 2. This applies more to category 1 monadic twin flames, right? Sometimes new people enter your life precisely when the connection feels suspended. And these encounters can serve two opposite purposes. Number 1, distraction from healing or preparation for true union. And how to know the difference. When the attraction comes from emptiness, you will feel a momentary thrill followed by energetic depletion. When it comes from evolution, you will feel peace even if it doesn't last. A karmic partner is not a punishment. They are a training ground for boundaries. They help you test whether your S energy belongs to longing or to love. They help you realize that sacred fire does not require a familiar face to burn. So what is the etheric law of S energy, right? In spiritual law, every, when I mean S, what I mean, encounter leaves an etheric signature. When our womb is already holding the code of our beloved divine masculine, it becomes a living archive of that bond. So when we physically try to merge, when you merge physically with another before you've cleared the old field, both energies imprint simultaneously, and that result can be confusion, fragmentation, or physical exhaustion. So this is why the divine feminine often feels guilt or sadness after intimacy with someone else. Even the thought of someone else, even when it was consensual and kind. So it's not moral judgment, it's energetic mismatch. You see, two frequencies attempted to overlay, but the body was still tuned to the monadic key. So this doesn't mean you can't love again. It means your soul asks for conscious union, not impulsive release. You see, that's what it is. And I get this question all the time, are you from my divine feminine clients, like how long are we going to be stuck in the loop? Are we always going to wait? But often, I'll give you examples, like literally divine feminines would like try to go on a date only to cancel it on the last moment, or would go on a date to realize that the men are much worse than their DMs. Or they might try going on the date because it's God sent. It could be a higher level soulmate just passing through to remind you of your self-worth. So sometimes it could be temporary. It could be something to that's why the karmics often act as a teacher, a training ground. Both sides. All right. So the sacred discipline of energetic sovereignty, right? So every divine feminine on this journey, we eventually learn that managing our sacral current is a spiritual discipline. And this is not about suppression, it's about containment. Containment doesn't mean denial, it means holding energy long enough for it to turn into light. So when we sit in that intensity and not need an outcome, our womb becomes the holy grail, a vessel of transmuted desire. And this is what the ancient priestesses knew. They were not celibacy. They didn't, the ancient priestesses did not take a vow of celibacy out of fear. They were conserving life force to create worlds. So that's what I always mean, Celibacy in itself has so much distortion thanks to the modern day way of love, life, and making love and everything, right? Gone were the days where sexual energy was respected. Now it's like before there is courtship and companionship and getting to know, it's like people get to know each other through that, right? But celibacy in itself is not forced. It's conserving our life force to create worlds. And that's what, as divine feminines, we are doing, stabilizing an entire planetary grid through our ability to hold sacred fire without distortion. And when our divine masculine feels it too. Remember this, when you choose neutrality, our divine masculine feels it. When you transmute the energy instead of sending it back, the pressure in his field softens. His dream shifts, his moods ease, his soul begins to remember peace. So our work in the unseen is not unseen by the soul. Every breath we take in self-control teaches our divine masculine energetic maturity. Every time we choose love without chase, his higher self bows. And this is how you lead without leading, through frequency, not force. So the bridge of compassion, So in category 1, when other partners appear, treat them as reflection, not replacement. Sometimes they carry a fragment of your divine masculine's lesson to help you close a karmic loop or open your heart again. So bless them, but do not bind them. You're not cheating your divine masculine by learning through others. You're expanding the template through which reunion will occur. But always check your motives. Are you connecting to receive love or to prove you can move on? One is evolution, the other is avoidance, all right? There's a sacred stillness, right? The truth is, the sacral fire will not destroy you if you don't act on it. It will refine you. Each wave is a rite of passage into deeper embodiment, You are learning what the ancient mystics call the alchemy of Eros, transforming biological impulse into divine creation. And in that transformation, our divine masculine begins to awaken through resonance, not resistance. Our divine masculine will feel us not as temptation but peace. And that is such a crucial part, A lot of times when we are in our wounded divine feminine phase, we cause so much energetic, and that's why our divine masculine, wounded divine masculine, reacts in that manner, because they can feel our pain, they can feel our shakeups. That's why when he starts to feel us not as temptation but as peace, that's when union begins to approach again. Not because we are seeking our divine masculine, but because you've become coherence. So, my dearest ones, the next time that familiar warmth arises, don't fear it, don't chase it. Breathe, anchor, transmute. You're not being haunted, you're being activated. And this is what it means to walk the path of monadic twin flame love. To remember that every spark of desire is simply God reminding us that we are alive. So if you would like me to guide you through a personal process of stabilizing your field and understanding how to manage energetic intimacy in separation, you want to know about your soul history through the Akashic records, if you have any questions about your twin flame journey, you can book a first time twin flame psychic guidance session through the description below. And we can together decode the patterns, the searches, and help your body feel safe again in divine connection. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed this discourse, and a huge thanks to Selena for recommending this topic. I hope I've addressed all the points in your question. And to wrap it all up, to answer your question one more time, how do we manage the strong sacral energy we experience from our divine masculine? Go into a state of being. Do what you can. The whole purpose of this is to remember that we are multidimensional beings in a limited human body. But our soul is unlimited, right? So even though we might be in a human body, but what we experience is eternal, limitless, and infinite. So that's why managing is something that, there are a lot of exercises that can support it. And as I end, I want to teach you one integration practice that I teach my clients. So before you go to sleep, place your palms over your womb. Inhale softly through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Whisper, I'm the keeper of sacred energy. I bless all currents passing through me. And visualize a white light spiraling from your womb to your crown. And with gratitude, thank you, universe, for teaching me how to love without attachment. So you're cleansing, blessing, and reprogramming your sacral memory in time. And this practice stops the energy from feeling like him and starts feeling like you're in union with your divine counterpart in the future. All right. So with that, I'll see you all again with another discourse. And thank you all for your kind, loving, sweet comments. All my gratitude goes to you guys. Love you all so much. And thank you for all the recommendations. I'm trying my best to take note of all of them. And I will keep delivering discourses as per your requests and all that comes in. So all gratitude to God. I thank God before and after every discourse. I thank my higher self. It's like channeling these discourses through my higher self, through cosmic consciousness, has been such a joy. And I'm so glad that it's helping so many of you guys. So love you all so much, and see you all soon again. All right, take care, and remember, love is all there is. And with that, I'll see you all again. Take care and have a good one.